again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got another episode of Real Estate for Real People. And today's guest is going to be a fun one. This is a friend of ours and a work colleague of sorts, Kingsley Ma. So, Kingsley, you are with ReMax Canada now. It was ReMax Western Canada. But not long ago, you came here from Vancouver. So I think there's a whole bunch that we're going to be able to talk about today that will really be of interest to our listeners. So.
Yeah, we'll dive into the market and talk about that. Talk about, what you see sort of ReMax Canada, because you're looking at it from the whole countryside now, which is amazing. But first off, I think which our listeners will find really interesting is you moved from Vancouver, moved to, smaller town Kelowna. Do you find it small? Are you happy with the move? Tell us all about it.
I'm actually very happy with the move itself. I moved up here for the job. About 5 years ago now. Time goes by really quick.
Way too fast.
I don't even know what happened. And
you blink and it's...
But I'm happy I moved to Kelowna out of many other cities in Canada. From
How was your family? How was your wife with it? And was it a hard sell to move here?
To be honest, it was a little bit of a hard sell because we both grew up in Vancouver. Anytime you pick up your roots and go somewhere, it is a hard sell.
Mm-hmm.
However, Kelowna also offers a lot of things that Vancouver does, where there's mountains, beautiful weather, 4 seasons, where you can't say every part of Canada has that.
That's true.
Water views, outdoor activities for kids. And I think it's a perfect place for kids to grow up.
Yes.
Because you got space, right? Where in Vancouver now, it's very different. It's not like 30 years ago in Vancouver where
that's true.
It had space. Right?
Yeah, that's very true. And that's, it's an interesting one because I think a ton of our clients move here with families and specifically pick Kelowna for all the reasons that you just talked about.
And lifestyle. I mean, I would think majority of our clients move here because they want to enjoy that lifestyle that you just talked about. That's their number one reason. So how was it transitioning here? Was it okay to move into Kelowna? You didn't know many people, or did you know lots of people, or what was that like?
I didn't know anybody, actually.
Wow.
Amazing.
I just went head on. I'm coming. And,
watch out, everyone. I'm coming through.
Watch out, everybody. I started renting at the beginning because I didn't know any places. I didn't know any condos or anything like that. So I just picked a downtown condo. That seems to be the best. And I rented it. I settled in. After 6 months, I bought a unit there.
Yes.
And then...
Smart. I think I actually think that's really good advice. I know it sounds counterintuitive as realtors who want to sell, but these are big decisions, and particularly when you're picking up everything and moving across the province or across the country or across the world, you really want to have a good sense of where it is you're going to. So
exactly, and I think it's good to talk to real estate professionals like yourselves. Once anybody that moves into a new city, because you guys are the experts, not just friends and things like that, right? And you guys know the little things about where you should be buying or where you should be not buying. Could be schools, could be parks, could be community centers, could be, but because everyone's unique, everyone's what they want and need is very different, and they should always ask people that are experts in the field to, and then make a decision. Then, right? Just don't just go head on and buy something and then go.
Oh, wait a second, that wasn't the right one.
Exactly.
Well, and it's it's funny because we have some people move here who are really, really avid. I'm thinking of some clients who bought up in Gallagher's, and they're very, very avid cross country skiers. And they looked all over. They actually we were talking about it last week, and they actually said, downtown was really appealing. They like the feel and the energy and the vibe, but they are diehard cross-country skiers. So they picked Gallagher's because they looked at the road and went, we can take the back road and be out at Telemark in 20 minutes. And, they're not golfers. They bought on a golf course, but to be out close to some of those amenities. And they didn't even know about that area. Right. Until they started speaking and doing some proper research. So,
right, because I think purchasing a house, it's not something you can just look online and go, "This is what I want." No matter, no photos or videos can't do justice. You have to
true.
Be there, know what it feels like, feel it. Right? Is this my vibe, so to speak? That's the term people use, right?
Totally.
Well, with something we say, we tell people, when you come to Kelowna, a lot of our clients move here from Vancouver, from Alberta, from Toronto, and we say, okay, once we've shown you some homes, or you've driven around neighborhoods or what have you, go to the local grocery store, go to the coffee shop. The home inspector that we recorded a session with previously talked about chat with the neighbors, like see if you fit in that community.
Right.
But you will know the place that is the right one for you, because you will feel it when you walk in the door and you'll walk in and go, yep, this feels right.
Yeah.
But you do need to sort of know sort of the area first. So I think it's smart to be able to come rent, get a feel for it, and then come. Now, did you all come at the same time?
No, I came first.
Right. Okay.
Because I needed to know if it's the place we can settle first, I guess, before the rest of them come.
Makes
right?
sense.
Smart.
And they had, and the timing wasn't exactly correct because they had school and things like that. I didn't
Yes.
want to just, okay, pull you out today and off you go
right.
kind of deal, right? But I think there's lots of potential for Kelowna to grow for especially younger families, because you look at the price point in Vancouver.
Yes.
In most cities, like even Coquitlam nowadays, are selling $1,000 a square feet for a condo.
Wow.
So I mean, $1,000 in Kelowna, you can probably get a view.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In a condo, right?
Right, for sure.
So a proper view and bigger size and things like that.
Yes.
Much more affordable, and there are homes you can get under $1 million still. In
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Which I always use, like if you use, especially in Vancouver West Side, a 33 by 120 lot, which is 4,000 square feet lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot, no house, even if tear down, whatever. It minimum is 2.8.
Wow.
Wow. And look what
So-
here you can get for 2.8.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, the average house price here dropped just last month. The stats came out and it's under $1 million again. So I mean, that's far from really affordable for everybody, but that's better. That's a detached home price. You can still see some really great condos for, 400,000, some,
Exactly.
500,000, and you get something nice and great amenities and a good building. So
Exactly. And Vancouver's got a lot of, I guess, people moving in there too, right? Just like Kelowna.
Yes.
But people moving into Vancouver has a different type of people, I guess. They're either moving from Toronto or overseas, Europe, Asia, and things like that. And you look at, on an annual basis, you have about 40,000 people moving to Vancouver. And
Wow.
Okay.
they're building less than half of that.
yeah.
So you have on an annual basis, I'm sorry, say that again, 40,000 people moving into Vancouver.
Yeah.
And they're building less than half of that
Yeah.
each year. Okay.
Doesn't matter if it's condo, detached, or anything like that.
Wow.
They're building
Right.
less than half of that.
So that market will continue to be squeezed and
Exactly.
continue
Yeah.
to be unaffordable.
Exactly. Because it's a supply and demand issue, right?
Yes.
Where Kelowna has the same issue, similar.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
All across Canada does, doesn't
yeah.
it really? Like we're not building enough supply all across Canada, I don't think.
No, we're not. And it's hard to find more contractors
Right.
or tradespeople to build homes these days. So it's not something, even if we want to encourage, or the government encourage, better incentive for anything that we're doing with, even if they do that, it's still impossible.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have the labor force to
Do that.
Right.
Right. Makes sense.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so tell us, just in comparison, and maybe you lived right in downtown Vancouver, but how long is your commute to work now?
Oh, how long? Less than 7 minutes?
I love it. That's the bit that we need.
Yeah, less than 7 minutes.
And how long was your commute when you were in Vancouver?
About 25 minutes.
Oh, and that's
I
pretty
lived
good.
close to downtown back then.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of the coworkers that live, because the office was originally in downtown where I used to work.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of my coworkers took an hour and a half just to get to work, right?
Yeah.
And imagine that at the end of your day, I always think about is at the end of your day, you just want to get home and see your kids. Imagine taking an hour and a
Yeah.
half commute to then get home after your long, busy day. I mean, you get more family time being able to be closer, where it's taking you 7 minutes to get to work and 7 minutes to get home.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Well, and
Imagine
that's
the
back
time
to
you
that
lost.
lifestyle and what really matters. When you look at it at the end of the day, hopefully we all live to be really ancient and really healthy, but you're not going to care about the work or the money. It's family time and the quality of life. So
Exactly. It's the quality of life that people love in Canada in general.
yes,
Yes.
we're very fortunate here.
Because, there's, everybody has, I guess the term is opportunities for people.
Right.
That's a big
Yeah.
one. Because in other countries, there's opportunities are limited
Yeah.
for
Right.
people, right? Even, it doesn't matter if it's where they grow up and things like that, status and things like that. They just don't have those opportunities. We're in Canada, everybody has very close to equal opportunities as they grow up to choose what they want.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a very
true.
important point. That's why Canada in general is such a great place for people to look into, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's true. Well,
Yeah,
and then
it's
we
true.
had, Kelowna really is getting some international recognition. What did you guys see the article that Vogue magazine named us as the most undervalued wine region in the world. It was in
And Big White just got nominated for something today. One of the best ski resorts in North America or something. It just got a nomination for something. So, I mean,
the
pretty
realtors
amazing.
in us love this.
Yes.
You know, I think we get really excited and go, this is good. I mean, this will continue to bring people to the Okanagan. And the kids, you know, I moved here when I was 1.5. Shannon was born here. It's like, oh, more people are coming?
Well, I live where I used to go mountain biking. Like my house now is up where
Right.
we used to go mountain biking on
We
trails.
have a big crash right there.
Let's talk about that, okay? Let's not talk about it. But
Speaking of that, when I moved to Vancouver in 1988,
Okay.
and I lived in the Steveston area, and I used to see people riding horses in Steveston.
Wow.
in
As
Vancouver.
recently as 1988.
Yeah.
And look at how much it's changed in really
you don't,
not
you
that
don't
long.
see a horse on the streets anymore.
Never. Oh, can
That's
you
for
imagine?
sure.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That would make the news.
Isn't that interesting? It's although I'm sure some of our listeners have been born in like 2000. They're like 1988. That's last century.
Yeah, they're like, that's a long time ago, but really amazing to see how much it's changed. So you look and think, how much is Kelowna going to change, you know, in
Right.
that time? And when you see that, we've already seen tremendous change here. And I think sometimes, Tamara and I talk about this all the time, that we sort of feel we're locals. So you sort of have to put your local hat on and you feel like a local. And then when you hear things like Vogue magazine, you know, naming the Okanagan, you think, well, maybe sometimes we got to take our local hat off.
Yes.
And other people see this as not this little community, quiet town. It's getting bigger and it's getting recognized.
Well, I
you know.
think Kelowna is now becoming a world city.
Yes.
Yes.
Whereas not just a Canadian city.
I would agree.
Yeah, well said, Kingsley. You're right. Yeah.
So the comparison, you have to start comparing to other major cities similar outside of Canada that are similar to what Kelowna can offer.
Yes.
And you look at everything, because we're closer to the Pacific Rim. You look at any major cities around the Pacific Rim that has 4 seasons, water, mountain, outdoor activities, good environment. I think Kelowna is probably the most affordable one out of all of them.
Yes.
Because I'll just name a
Yes.
few, like San Francisco is even more expensive than Vancouver.
Yes.
Tokyo and Hong Kong's 2.5 times Vancouver.
Wow.
2.5 times
Yeah,
the
2.5
price.
times
Wow.
Vancouver. So I'm from Hong Kong, so I know. That's what I know.
Wow.
So if you were to buy a condo just like the one we're in, you're looking at least 3 million.
Wow.
At least. So to buy the same, like,
Yeah. And this is
Hong
less
Kong,
than half that.
yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. You're right, because we are closer to Pacific Rim. And that's, you know, I think sometimes the media that people pick up on, well, it's really, really expensive. And compared to Calgary, whose average house price is half of ours, although that's really starting to climb,
Yeah.
it is expensive until you look at.
Relative, right? It just all depends on what you're comparing to.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about you now. ReMax Kelowna was, you know, or ReMax Western Canada. Now it's switched to ReMax Canada. So it's all across the country. Now, do you kind of follow the stats and the trends for everything across the country, or?
I try.
Yeah.
There's many markets, as you know.
Yes.
You can't remember all of them.
Yeah. More.
But I
Big
mean, you
country.
look across the board, it's interesting, you know, how the market has shifted a little bit. But it's not as bad as the news, the media sometimes say.
Yes.
Even we look at sometimes at the unit sales. I mean, if you were to do month over, you know, like say last August compared to this August, you're probably down 20-25% in terms of units. I mean, it's still a great market. It's still a healthy market overall, but sometimes we make it sound like it's a bad thing, right? In terms of the health of the market.
Well, and
overall.
I think with all due respect, and certainly not picking on anybody in the media, but I think we've become a society that reads headlines and headlines sell. So it's that sensationalism of, okay, what's going on? And, you know, we had an unprecedented event with the pandemic and people sort of, that frenzy that was going on. I mean, when we look back historically, going back to 2019 or 2018, prices are up, the number of sales are up. It's, you know, inventory is within that sort of healthy range of what we all got used to. It was just during the pandemic, everything went a bit wonky.
Yeah, I agree. And it's hard too. I think during the pandemic as well, we all got used to seeing, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you'd go on to Castanet. Castanet's my homepage, but you'd go on to Castanet and you'd see the red, everything was in red, bold.
Yeah.
And that's what you would read. The ones that were in black, you wouldn't read them as much. Like I, you know, and even now I'll look and I'm like, was there anything major happening? Nothing major is happening in the news today because nothing's in red, which is horrible. But that's sort of what sold us all to follow the news. And so, when the market's crashing, this and that, that's what's going to get everybody to click into that article.
Exactly.
Definitely, right?
Fear.
And it's fear, and
Fear.
it is all fear-based instead. And, I have to admit, I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah. Well, it's our society. That's why you need to move to Kelowna, because you'll have more time to go to parks.
So jumping a little bit, and I'm jumping all over a bit, but let's jump back to that a bit.
Yeah.
So you still live downtown Kelowna.
Actually, I moved away from downtown Kelowna.
So where-
we bought a place up in Wilden.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still, look how close that is. So you're single family home now, or are
Single
you?
family home up there.
Yeah.
We needed more
'Cause your
space.
family's
and now
grown.
I have a second kid, so I definitely need more space.
Yes.
So it's I think that's why I said Kelowna is a great place to do that.
Yeah.
Get in the market, settle for a little bit, and then if it feels right, and if it's something in your budget, then do it, right? And have a single family home.
Yeah.
Whereas in Vancouver, you can't do that. If you bought a condo, you're done with the condo, because
Right.
anything else is a lot more. Right?
Yeah, it's too much of a stretch. It's,
Yeah, and interesting. You probably, I don't know, there's probably a stat on it, but I wonder how many times people in Vancouver move. Whereas I know here, people move quite often because they're doing just like that. They're kind of going up that property ladder, I guess, for a better term. But, buying a property, waiting a couple of years, you build some equity in it, then you sell that, build something, go on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Vancouver, I bet you they don't do that as often.
No,
At
they
least in
don't.
downtown.
And it's tougher because the gap between strata units in Vancouver and detached are much greater. The difference
course.
in price.
Right.
Whereas here, like a condo in downtown can be $1 million or so.
yes.
Yes.
But $1 million or so, you can still get a
A
detached
house.
home,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Whereas in Vancouver, you can't.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. So it just changes. It's a whole different buying process in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back to opportunity to do more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
More flexibility.
So do all your friends look and think, okay, we wish we had moved out here 5 years ago as well?
Yeah.
And, do you get a lot of your friends saying, oh, we would love to be
I
there?
know there's some that moved up. And then, they you could give it a try, right? But they're
Yeah.
usually the younger ones, my
Yes.
younger friends, I guess, where they're willing to try more stuff, right?
Yes.
But the ones that have, already got a place in Vancouver and things like that, those are the ones that are probably going to be more settled down there.
Yeah.
But for that's why I said for future generations, I'm sure there's going to be more and more
Yeah.
that will move up, because there's more opportunities here, especially now they're more into technology side of things, right? There's
Yes.
more
Yes.
tech companies in Kelowna where you don't have to work in the office. You can work from home, right?
Yeah.
And things like that. So, and then the UBCO getting more students, getting more professionals, ultimate potential professionals into the
Yes.
city itself. And I think it adds up to everything adds up to, it's very important, right? For the city itself.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. And then things, medical that we've got, and the cancer ward that we've got here, and
Well, and the aviation center. We had just learned that on a podcast a while ago. That the aviation sector of our market is a huge industry, which I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, and that's a big employer here.
Yeah.
So, there's all these different things that we don't even hear about that are just draw
I
people
think
in.
there are a ton of companies and organizations that are here in town that they're just quietly flying under the radar and allowing because I know there are great opportunities. There are opportunities, on the job market. Labor is short everywhere. But we are certainly seeing lots of people choosing to come here, and maybe a bit easier when your kids are young and they're maybe not as firmly entrenched in their friendships or what have you. But
And that's another perspective, because you've got ties, of course, to Vancouver, with lots of your friends still there, and probably lots of your friends having young kids and all that sort of thing. And now you've got 2 young kids here. How do you feel Kelowna is as far as that family area with the schools and the parks and all of that in
I
comparison?
think it's great because everything is within actually walking distance. I was going to say driving distance, but no walking distance.
Yeah.
wow.
Because even
Yeah, the school's right there in Wilden.
school's right there, and then you get trails, and then you get beautiful view like this. It's just a couple minute walk and things like that. And if you were to compare that, if you were to live in Richmond, for example,
Yeah.
in the center of Richmond, you have to drive.
Right.
That's the only option, to drive to go to the park or things like that. And with younger kids, it's not easy to just get them in the car and
No.
go just for this, and then bring all the stuff, all the gear, right?
Right.
So convenience is very important, right? And to lifestyles too, not just for work, but for lifestyles.
Well, and then, Shannon's got, your kids are still on the young side, and, in your neighborhood, the boys already can take off and ride the bike down to the store or go to their friend's house, or there's that independence that I don't know that you'd get in a busier center or in a big city.
No, that's true. That's a really good point. You probably wouldn't.
That is a very good point, because if you, like, this goes back to when I was young, you would ride a bike in Vancouver and things like that and feel safe.
Right.
You can't say that anymore in Vancouver.
No.
In many parts of Vancouver, I say not all, but many parts of Vancouver. If your kid rides a bike out, you don't feel safe anymore, because it's just the way it is. It's a bigger city now, and it's
and there's just more out there. It makes sense. Like
That's a sad statement. I mean, I think it's real, but thinking about it, I mean, when we grew up 5,000 years ago, it's
5,000 for you. Whoa.
Right,
It's not for me.
I am
Okay?
the older sister. That's all. Just acknowledge that. I've accepted it. But I mean, Mom would tell us to get out of the house after breakfast,
And we'd be gone all day, and who knows where we were? No phones, no nothing.
No, but there's something nice, and I think in Wilden, where you are, in Kettle Valley, in we have, I think any of the neighborhoods, truly, you've got that sense of the kids can. I mean, we've all got tracking devices on our kids because they're called cell phones, but kids can still go and sort of have that old-fashioned playtime
Experience. And that independence. I mean, it's interesting because our son went in the summertime and took the bus. So he had never taken the city bus, and he phoned and said, "Mom, a bunch of us, we want to go to the mall." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm out working. I can't get home. Sorry, but you're just going to have to wait." And he's like, "No, we're going to take the bus." I said,
And
"Okay."
how old is he?
He was 12. And I said, "Kate, yeah, you can take the bus. That's fine." So
Wow.
I said, "You got to look it up. Here's the website." So he looked it up. He phoned me back and he said, "I think this is the one I need to take." So I helped him, and I'm like, I looked it up and I'm like, "Yeah, that is the one you need to take, but you need to take 3 others to get to the mall." So he had to transfer 3 times, and him and his friends did it. And they went, took the bus downtown, transferred onto another bus, made it to the mall. And I thought, I don't think I'd do that in a big city. I mean, Kelowna's getting pretty big, but it's pretty cool that we can do that here.
I think
And
Kelowna's
still
got the
feel that
hybrid,
it's safe.
right? It's
Yes.
got the hybrid of a city feel
Yeah.
and a more relaxed environment too. Whereas Vancouver, you don't get that relaxed environment anymore, right?
No, it's true. Well, you've said, that relaxed environment, I think. And then the fact of the opportunity, that word keeps sticking out. You said is, Canada's sort of the land of opportunity, but I think the Okanagan is as well, just with different, the lifestyle you can get. Spend more time with your family.
Wow.
Yeah.
So fascinating, Kingsley. Just, interesting. We weren't sure which way the conversation would go if we'd end up talking a lot about ReMax, but I think it's nice to hear from, we've been here our whole lives. Yeah. So we help a lot of people make Kelowna home and from far away, but it's nice to hear it in your words and just, you did it. Just any last closing sort of thoughts, anything that you regret and anything you would have done differently if you knew then what you know now?
Probably not. I think things have been pretty smooth through the 5 years I've been here.
Awesome.
I mean, I wish there was more restaurant varieties in Kelowna, but
we do hear that a bit.
But I think that's coming. I mean,
Yeah.
even the 5 years I've been here, there's more restaurants and better seen in terms of variety of just things to do, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And would you ever move back, or is Kelowna home?
Kelowna's home in the foreseeable future. I mean, it's probably depends on the opportunity itself too, but
of course.
Yeah.
No,
wow.
Well, that's
neat.
great. We're lucky to have you here. And thank you so much for sharing your insight today.
Yes. Thank you. And now people, if they want to reach out to you, they can go on to ReMax of Canada's website, I guess. Is that how?
You can go to ReMax Canada or on Facebook. Just type in Kingsley Ma and you can probably find me there.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link as well in the notes below so that people can click if you want to find a bit more, or you reach out to us and we can connect you with Kingsley. But if you want to buy a house, you have to go through us. No.
Exactly.